Yes, sirree. I'm not freaking blind, guys. It's Gweilo style.
I think it's Thursday.
You could die.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Geez, you know, oh yeah, because it goes on and on and on. For all you haters, there's something to chew on for the next couple of... Welcome back to the Gweilo 60 channel. It's a sad day for the American economy out there, I'm telling you. The BRICS nations, the BRICS group of countries has decided to create a new currency, a digital currency, a currency that their group of countries can do trade, cross-border trade with, and eliminate having to use the American dollar, the greenback. What does this do to the American economy? What does it do to the American dollar? What does it do to the America psyche? They've had a reserve currency for a lot of years, and they've basically built a nation on borrowing money because they can borrow money because they're reserve currency. Every time somebody had to do a trade from, say, China to Canada, they had to do it in American dollars because that's just the way it was. So the Canadian person buying the Chinese goods had to go buy American dollars, pay an exchange rate. Where does that exchange rate go? Into the American pocket type thing. So with India, one of the largest countries population-wise in the world, China, one of the largest population-wise countries in the world, Russia, South Africa, you know, the idea that, and this group of countries is growing. There's so many people that want to become part of this and want to sort of pivot away from the United States, and they see this as a new beginning, a new way of doing business, world trade, a digital currency backed by gold. What is the American dollar backed by? Absolutely nothing. Exactly. So now that you've got this starting to roll out, now that you've got the American politicians, the American corporate world, the people in charge are starting to go, oh no, what do we do now? And you have to understand that a lot of this is their own fault. When they stole over $600 billion of Russian money, they weaponized the American dollar. They tripped up. They screwed up real big on this one, because now all the countries that don't see eye to eye with the American government knows that if they don't do what the Americans want, there's a chance that all of their American reserve cash will be taken away from them just because they can. And it's been proven. They did it to Russia. Actually, they did it to Afghanistan too, if you look back into the way that they dealt with that. But it's not safe anymore. The American dollar used to be a safe haven, a place that you put your money when things were getting dicey in the world and things got a little scary. Oh, we better get American dollars. That's the safe place to put it. Well, that safe place isn't a safe place anymore, and they're looking for alternatives. And this BRIC group of countries, it looks like the best bet out there. And you've got to understand, like, China has a larger economy than the United States with purchasing power parity. And what that basically means that if I have one American dollar in my pocket, or I think it's about 7 RMB in my pocket, which is equivalent to 1 American dollar, I can buy more for that 1 American dollar or 7 RMB in China than I can in the United States, making the Chinese economy a bigger economy. It's the way it is. And if you want to look at the reality of how it's growing and how the American economy is shrinking, it won't be long before they'll have the largest economy in American dollars also. No reserve currency, an economy that's failing, losing face and trust around the world. The Americans back 20, 30 years ago had the trust of many countries around the world, but their continuous warring, their continuous coups, their continuous thievery. Thievery by any other name is still thievery. If you're going to be stealing other countries' money, like they did with Russia and Afghanistan, well, you lose the trust of other countries around the world. And that's exactly what's been happening to the United States over the last couple of years. And the Russian-Ukraine conflict sort of just sped all of this up, brought it out into the open, and now a lot of these countries out there are turning their backs on the Americans, even their close allies. Saudi Arabia wants to become part of BRICS. Mexico wants to become part of BRICS. Indonesia wants to become part of BRICS. And if they want to, chances are they will. So when you look at the Ukraine wanting to become part of NATO, it's probably a moot point at this time, because that group of countries, if this happens and the American dollar slides to, oh, and that's another thing. What happens to the American dollar if all of these countries no longer need to use American dollars for their trade? Trillions of dollars come back home to the United States. Trillions of dollars, trillions and trillions of dollars come back to the United States. What does that do to the American economy? Well, you've got a lot more money chasing less goods. You've got hyperinflation. You've got textbook recession coming down the tube at you. You're going to be losing millions of jobs. Your economy is going to tank, and it's because of mismanagement by the politicians in the United States. As I say, the continual warring, stealing money from other countries, weaponizing their dollar, making it so it's not a safe haven anymore. All of these things have contributed to what's happening today with the BRICS group of nations. And as the American dollar starts heading home by the trillions of dollars, what comes in and replaces those dollars? Because it can't all just be digital currency. This digital currency has to be backed by gold, but it also has to be backed by a group of currencies, and those group of currencies will be BRICS members' currencies. Not only will it keep their currency stable and strong, but it will make it stronger, sort of like their own reserve currency in their own block of countries, doing what the American dollar used to do. So it's good for their economy, it's good for their people, it's good for their infrastructure building. It just makes them stronger financially on the world stage, and makes the Americans weaker on the world stage. How is this going to affect a Canadian? Well, because we sell most of our products to the Americans, we're going to go down with the ship, definitely. The Europeans are going to do the same thing. The Brits, the Australians are all going down with the ship, and it's sad to say, because we had it so good and we screwed it up. Yes, we had it so good and then we screwed it up. And you're looking at the Americans, because they had the reserve currency, they could borrow whatever they wanted. They could sell government bonds. They could borrow money from basically any country around the world. And I think China has about $1 trillion worth of debt that they've purchased from the United States at this particular point, or I think it's maybe 900 and some billion now. It used to be a lot more, but it's getting a lot less, because they're looking and they're saying, well, you can hear the rhetoric that's coming out of the United States over the last number of years, and obviously China and the United States are not on the same page politically, and they'll probably never be on the same page politically. So why would a country as rich and strong as China take a chance on the American politicians and their weaponizing of their dollar? The Americans had it beat, and they could borrow all this money. They could spend like drunken sailors. They just raise their debt ceiling, and nobody really, it didn't matter back then, because they could always sell more government bonds. They could always borrow more money. They could always. Now they can't anymore. Once this digital currency, backed by gold, comes into play, I think it's August 22nd or 23rd, when the final signatures are going to be on the pieces of paper. Chances are the Americans won't be able to spend like drunken sailors anymore. Their way of life is going to change drastically south of the border. And they're not going to be able to borrow money anymore because people won't trust the American dollar. It won't be worth as much anymore. Those days are done. The days of American reserve currency are coming to an end very quickly. The BRICS group of countries, group of nations, is going to be the dominant economic force in the world, and a whole bunch of countries are going to have reserve currencies, and those reserve currencies are going to be backed by gold, just like the BRICS digital currency, and they'll be doing all of their cross-border trade, and they won't be having to pay an American exchange rate. That'll make their countries stronger. That'll make trade a lot less expensive for these countries in the BRICS. And everybody around the world will benefit from something like this, except for the American economy and their group of countries, Canada, the United States, Great Britain, and Australia. Not so much New Zealand anymore, but the idea that they won't be able to keep their way of life anymore, and that could cause a problem, and that's probably coming up in a video here soon about the coming war between China and the United States. It is a reality. It is basically in the propaganda stage right now, and anybody knows that before a military conflict, there's always that propaganda stage. So stay tuned for that video coming up shortly. Anyway, that's another video from Gweilo 60. If you like this video, as always, like, comment, subscribe, push that share button. And until next time, thanks for watching. Peace out. Bye now.